The Toronto Raptors have proven to be one of the most consistent teams in the entire NBA. So it was quite a surprise to see them be so bad last year. Now, there are many factors why they were so bad, like they were in Tampa Bay, they had a lot of injury problems, but this season they have returned to their former self, as although they weren't expected to do much at the start of the year, they're currently the fifth seed in the Eastern Conference, better than teams like the Nets and the Hawks. So, for this 2022 playoffs, should we believe in the Toronto Raptors? So before I start, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, as it's for motivation to make more videos like this. So, let's get right into it. So the Raptors this year are 20th in offense, 7th in defense, 27th in pace, and have the 11th best net rating. And first, their defense has been so impressive. If you just look at the roster, they have so many versatile defenders. Pasco Ciaco, Trent Jr., Scotty Barnes, OG Anunoby, Thaddeus Young, all tall wings that can guard multiple positions. It's like Pascal, Scotty being able to guard pretty much 1 through 5 for against certain matchups. And that's just how this team is constructed, and it has worked. Having all these tall wings that have such a versatile skill set, if you have like 5 of these players, then it's gonna be very different, but it's proven to be so successful this year. And this switching works, and especially in the playoffs, its switching is so deadly because in the playoffs they look for matchups, right? Matchups that mismatch. Like in the Clippers, they fought against Rudy Gobert. They just mismatched him. But with this team, with everyone being able to switch, no mismatches, this team is just so deadly on defense. And I just love how this team is constructed. They have so many just tall wings that can just do so much on both ends, but especially on defense. Like Scotty Barnes, he played pretty much the point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center this year, which that versatility, Pasco Ciaco can guard 2 through 5. Trent Jr., a tall wing, OG Anunoby, another guy who can switch, Thaddeus Young, such a versatile defender, and this team alongside people like Fred VanVleet, who is also a scrappy defender, Chris Boucher, who's who's a pretty good defender, and overall, there's a reason why their defense has been so solid. Nick Nurse is, of course, an amazing coach. He has so many just out of the box techniques that have worked so much, like running Scotty at the point guard sometimes, or running him at the center. Just that versatility that you just don't know what to expect from this Raptors team because of all this versatility. And along their although their offense hasn't really been top notch, it's still very respectable. Fred VanVleet averaging 26 and 5, 38% from 3. He stepped up as a leader because when Kyle Lowry was gone, someone had to step up as that alpha dog, and Fred VanVleet has really taken that role very nicely. He was, of course, an all-star this year, and he's just been so impressive as a shot creator, leader, taking over games sometimes. And Freddie, yes, we'd like to see him more as the second option in the playoffs, which we'll see how he performs, but Freddie's been having an amazing season. Then we have Pasco Ciaco. He's averaging 23, 8, and 5, and he pretty much might be having the best year of his career. I know he averaged like 25 points a game one year, second team All-NBA, but he choked in the playoffs, and I think that this year it's just been so clean. He's been so underrated this year, and yes, I would think before he was a little bit overrated, but now nobody talks about Pascal Siakam at all. He's been clutch, and he's just pretty much has, I saw someone say he has like the most ethical 30-point games where it's not fouls, it's just clean moves, it's spin moves, post-ups, like catch and shoot threes, and that versatility on both ends for Pascal is what makes him such a good player. And we'll see how he performs in the playoffs because in the bubble he played really bad, like really bad. But I still think that Pascal we'll talk about the matchup against the Sixers later, but Pascal, he's their star right now, and maybe you do want a superstar. I still think Pascal is a really good second option, like we saw with Kawhi in the championship run, but we'll see how he performs as, I guess, the first 1A alongside Fred VanVleet, but Pascal also alongside Freddie, both having amazing seasons. Then Scotty Barnes. He's personally my rookie of the year. He's averaging 15, 7, and 3, and he's played, like I said, almost every position. Now, the rookie of the year race, I can see the case for Mobley, Barnes, and Cade, and it doesn't really matter who gets it, it's just rookie of the year. But personally, for the stats he has, the versatility he has, and the amount of wins that the Raptors have, he should be the rookie of the year. And Scotty's future is just so incredible. Nobody expected this from Scotty, and it was such a surprise to see the Raptors take Scotty with the fourth pick, but it was definitely a better pick than if they took Jalen Suggs, which, looking back, such an amazing move by this Raptors front office. And Scotty, I think the ceiling is just so high for him as a defender, and with him improving his jump shot, I think he can be like a 28, 6 type of guy, good defender, and maybe can average more points than that. I still think he can because he's only like 20 years old, but this season, he's proven so much, and I really want to see how his future goes. Then you have someone like OG Anunoby, who still has all-star talent, and he's already an elite 3-and-D wing. Now, he has faced a lot of injuries this season, so we haven't seen him, like, for half the season, but we know what to expect from OG Anunoby as that defender, shooter, can score off the dribble a little bit. And then you also have Gary Trent Jr., who they got from the Norman Powell trade, and he's also improved. He's averaging 18 on 38% from 3, and he can heat up pretty much at any time. He could hit like 3 threes in a row. His defense has improved a lot. And yes, maybe you want him to improve other things like his mid-range, his driving, his passing, but still, having that shooting is such an elite skill. And overall, this team just is a really good team. Now, I would say this team is a bit top heavy because you have Pascal, Freddie, OG, Scotty, Gary Trent, and that 5 is really good, but looking down after that, it's not the best. Maybe Chris Boucher, maybe Precious Achua, and there's still some problems with the depth, but that top 5, oh, you also have Thaddeus Young too, who's a really good player, but besides those core players, their depth isn't amazing. Now, just having those players, especially after like losing Kyle Lowry, losing pretty much all of their key players in the championship run, and they can definitely build around that. They can sign players. Just the Raptors front office has proven to be one of the best front offices in the entire NBA. They drafted Scotty Barnes, they traded Kawhi, or they traded for Kawhi and got the championship. They've made so many smart moves, and they always find gems that they can trust, like Fred VanVleet, undrafted player, Pasco Ciaco, pretty much a late first-round pick, and I feel like that they'll probably find another player that can break out, gonna get some good minutes, and just be a quality contributor. And I really like this Raptors team a lot, but how will they face against the Sixers? And I mean, the Sixers are such a confusing team because you can see, like, on paper, you have James Harden, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris. But when you watch them, there's sometimes some problems. Embiid is awesome, but, like, James Harden struggles. Their depth hasn't really proven to be very good. But against the Raptors, I think they faced a couple times. I remember the game where Pasco Ciaco took over the triple-double against the Sixers, and the versatile defenders is definitely going to do a lot to Joel Embiid. Now, he's Joel Embiid, so he's going to get his 30 points per game, but I still think it's going to be a really interesting series, especially where Matisse Thybulle can't play in Toronto because of the vaccine. But I personally, it's going to be such an interesting series to watch. It's either going to be like a 5-game series for like the Sixers, or even probably a 5-game series for the Sixers, or it's going to be like a 7-game series for either the Raptors or the Sixers. And I can see the Raptors winning this game because, yes, you would definitely want to see Pascal step up. It's Scotty Barnes' first playoffs. Fred VanVleet, you need him to step up too. But I still think they have a chance, especially if James Harden's going to struggle. There is a chance for this Raptors team to maybe have a good playoff run. And if they do beat the Sixers, which no guarantee, they would face the Heat Heat or the 8th seed, but most likely Heat. But that would be an interesting matchup. But overall, I still think that the Raptors are building something, and this team is still really young. Pascal, Freddie, yes, they aren't the youngest, but Scotty Barnes, OG Anunoby, Gary Trent, all under 25 years old, I believe. Maybe OG is like 26, I'm not completely sure. But this team just has a solid foundation. If they can build around it, this team is going to be scary. But for the now, they're a solid team, and we'll see how they perform against the Sixers. So that being said, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all next time.